morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today I'm back with some figures, and I'm here to tell you what I've told you many times before. Pokémon is the biggest TCG in the world, and it's not even close. But you see, we've actually had some information that has been shared. Now, this is specifically about the Japanese market. But I do think it is very, very instructive. And it has been widely shared around by a bunch of people over in Japan, and it does seem to be absolutely legit. So I thought it would be nice to have a look and look at some actual figures showing us that no, Pokemon really is the biggest TCG, and it really isn't even close. Now, I originally saw this from Tencho, who's basically sharing these are the fiscal year-end results ending, March 2024. The top 15 sales in terms of TCGs over in Japan. And it shouldn't really surprise anyone to learn that, yes, Pokemon is number one. But again, I cannot stress this enough. Shout out, obviously, to Cosmic Plays as well, who I did see talking about this too. I cannot stress enough quite the difference here. So we look at number one. Number one is Pokemon. And Pokemon has sales of 1,337 billion. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. The actual numbers and what they represent in raw terms don't really matter. It is the comparison we're looking at here. We can also say that, Pokemon's gone up by 137%, and that's good. But one of the things you need to remember is, when we're looking at increase from one year to the next, very, very important measure. But also, it depends where you're coming from. We can look, and we're not going to get too much into this, or over on Wassy Plays, we're going to do a video looking at the rest of this list. We're really focused on Pokemon here, but do check out Wassy Plays where I talk about other card games. We can say that Union Arena's gone up 643%. That's massive! Union Arena was dead on arrival. Union Arena was a card game that launched. It's one of those ones, it's a Bandai card game, and basically there's lots of different sets of different IPs. It is actually getting an English release, which is wonderful. But, I've picked up a bunch of Union Arena, Tekken 7, Me and Roboco. There's some My Hero Academia. There are some cool sets for Union Arena. But let's be honest with you, when it launched, it's basically dead on arrival. The fact that that game has turned around and become a top 10 game in Japan is genuinely, legitimately wild. But that's why it's gone up 643%, because it's coming from I thought the game was going to be gone by now, frankly. It was not doing well when it launched, so that's why we see such a big jump. Pokemon's 143% is a nice jump as a raw number, but I think something to bear in mind about Pokemon is it is starting from huge and still jumped 137%. That is wild. You'll also notice that the market as a whole is growing quite nicely. All the top 15, they're all going up. Now, we need to look at this number because it is absolutely wild. Number one, Pokemon, 1,337 billion. Number two, Yu-Gi-Oh! At 471. Now, if we trebled what Yu-Gi-Oh! Had done, if we treble 471, just as an example, we just about beat Pokemon. Just. 471 times 3, we get to 1,413. We do actually jump above Pokemon. But what I like doing is basically going, right, how far down the list do we have to go in order to get above Pokemon here? How many card games in a row do we have to add up to beat Pokemon? You ready? So we started with Yu-Gi-Oh! At 471, we're not there. Well, number 3 was Duel Masters, 289. So we add that one on, and we're not even close, I'll be honest with you, we're at 760. So then we go to number 4, which is One Piece at 265. Interestingly enough, absolutely amazing. One Piece is crushing it, but we're not talking about that yet. So we add that on, we get to 1,025. We're not there yet. So we add on number 5, which is Vice Schwartz at 139. And we end up at 1164. We're still not there. So we add in Magic the Gatherings, 53. We're at 1217. We're not there yet. Magic is a thing in Japan, but it's not like it is in the West, just to be clear. So then we add on Battle Spirits at 38. We're up to 1255. We're still not there yet, but we're kind of getting close. Shadowverse in at number 8 has 37 billion. We're up to 1292. We're still not there. The aforementioned Union Arena at 32. We're at 1324. And if we add in number 10, which is Yu-Gi-Oh! Rush Duel, and we add in the, 31 from there, we do get to 1355 and beat. But if you add the number 2 all the way through number 9, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 together, they don't beat Pokemon. Pokemon in Japan is outselling the 8 next biggest card games combined. When I tell you that Pokemon is the biggest TCG, and I tell you it's the biggest by a mile and it's not even close, it's not me being a Pokemon fanboy, although I am a Pokemon fanboy. I'm an ex-business teacher who covers TCGs for a living. I'm going to come on here and be honest with you. Pokemon is not number 1 by a little bit. Pokemon is not doing okay. Pokemon is number 1 by a mile. The margin is huge. Nearly treble number 2 and bigger than numbers 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 added together. You literally have to add the entire rest of the top 10 together to get higher than Pokemon. The One Piece TCG, juggernaut right now. Sales are absolutely huge. Game is absolutely crushing. 300% rise from the previous year. And just to be clear, this isn't like we saw with Union Arena. Union Arena is rising fast because the game was not doing well and has had a massive revival, which is wonderful. It's a cool game. Loving that game has had a big revival. But that's why that is jumping. One Piece, that never happened with One Piece. One Piece never had the low. One Piece launched and sold out immediately, and the challenge has been just keeping it in stock. One Piece has been an absolute juggernaut since it released. It has been selling much higher, much faster, much better than even the most optimistic of projections might have said it would. And it has seen a 300% increase year on year, and it's still not even close. And this is what, when people talk about new card games like One Piece, I know it's not really in Japan, but like Lorcana, when people talk about, it could be challenging Pokemon, no, it couldn't. And I love One Piece, and I love Lorcana. I am a big card game dude. I literally have a second channel, Wassy Plays. And on Wassy Plays, I talk about other card games, non-Pokemon card games. And I love that channel. And I have a lot of fun on that channel, talking about various card games. I adore it. Card games are my thing. So when I say Pokemon's massively bigger than all of these card games, it's not an insult to the other card games. It is trying to get you guys to understand quite how big Pokemon is. When I talk about other card games not being able to challenge Pokemon for years and years and years at the absolute best case scenario, it's not saying anything negative about any other card game. It is purely looking at the Pokemon TCG and going, seriously, you guys don't realize quite how big this is. And every time I talk about this, I have people going, yeah, but what about Magic? Magic's fine. And here's the thing, even if we thought Magic was bigger in the West, and I show you the numbers from ITV2 every 6 months, it's not. It is not bigger than Pokemon. Pokemon is bigger in the West by a mile. Even if Magic was bigger than Pokemon in the West, it's not. But even if it was, even though it's not, when you looked at the Japanese results, Pokemon is there by an absolute country mile. And we see things like the restock of 151 that's happened recently in Japan, and it's so big that it's just selling out absolutely everywhere instantly. Pokemon have just just in the past few weeks, and I've done a couple of videos about this, they have just gotten to the point where they're actually keeping booster boxes on the shelves. You can go into a Pokemon Center in Japan right now and buy booster boxes, which is a legitimately big thing because for years you haven't been able to do so. And even with the massive shortages they've had, because for the majority of this year, with the figures I'm showing you for the year ending April 2024, for the majority of this year, Pokemon has had massive stock shortages and not been able to keep stock on the shelves, and it's still number one by a country mile. Pokemon is a juggernaut and people don't realize quite how big Pokemon is. I'm here to try and help you realize. And every time I say this, there's still going to be people that say, yeah, mate, but Magic's bigger. And there's still going to be people that think that games like One Piece and Lorcana can overtake it in the near future. And I love One Piece and Lorcana, and I'm rooting for those games hard. I am among the biggest supporters of both of those games. But the idea that any card game, under any circumstances, could launch and start challenging Pokemon is absurd. But I've told you that now. So now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about this. Tell me how happy it makes you. Tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at Lawasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.